What's happening, people? Welcome to this episode of Everything 9000. What's happening, boys?
All right.
Good.
Yeah, today we're going to be talking about climate change. There's a big conference happening in the UK. So there's a lot of energy coming to the UK. There was a report, IPCC report, that was released, a month or two ago. The IPCC report, it's conducted by, I think it's about 234 scientists worldwide. The report's released every year. They basically said it's a code red for humanity.
100%, yeah.
Okay, so, I'll throw a few stats out there, climate change, global warming, we all know what it is, but, maybe we don't know the depths of where this is going. So I'll throw some facts out there, and I'll see what you guys think of it. I'll set a context. Obviously, I think you know this as well, Amrit. I'm not sure if you know, Ishan, but, in 2015, the Paris Climate Summit, 196 nations agreed to hold global temperatures well below 2 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
With an aim to kind of keep it to 1.5 degrees Celsius. It's kind of been a shit show since.
It has been, because that agreement, the Paris Agreement is known as, was never actually binding. It was a thing they all signed, we promised to do this. It wasn't legally binding. It was okay, we promised to cut our carbon emissions by this much by 2050 or by 2030. But when you look at where they are in relation to it now, the targets they had set, none of the countries are anywhere near where they're supposed to be, as they had claimed they would be in that agreement. And that agreement's kind of dead in the water anyway, because obviously with Trump, he pulled out of it because he said, look, the US is paying too much money out to the other countries, then they should uphold their own stuff. But again, that was, I think, a very weak agreement, where it literally just said, okay, we'll do it. Every country does that. Every leader says, even Boris Johnson, made a big ha-hoo about at the UN just now, saying oh, it's kind of coming to the point where we can't return and stuff. He's saying all these right things. He's all saying all these words and stuff here, but he's still greenlighting fucking gas exploration in the North Sea and stuff. And that's still happening because of all his fucking Tory friends want that happening, right? So there's one thing saying actually what about it. And I genuinely believe Boris Johnson's probably not as extreme on climate as some of those conservatives and people on the right tend to be. I mean, this is a guy that cycles everywhere, but because of the party he's in, he's always greenlit any fucking project that would be detrimental to the environment, despite what he goes and says at the UN and despite what he tells us. And don't forget, this is the party that never ever turned up to the climate debate. Remember when a couple of years ago, before the elections, there was a debate solely focused on climate and their policies, and the Conservatives and the UKIP never turned up.
I mean, these countries that I mentioned, the nations, they all come together and they make these pledges. Which is kind of what you talked about, these promises, and they say, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. As far as the UN's concerned, they just want these countries to make better pledges. So, they're not happy with China, for instance, the world's biggest emitter. It's still not confirmed if President Xi Jinping, if he's coming to Glasgow.
Oh yeah, but I thought it was America that was the biggest emitter, right?
No, China's the biggest emitter.
Wow.
And then, another country that has intense scrutiny on them is India. They're the fourth biggest emitter after the EU.
I swear, it's not even safe to be in Delhi.
The pollution levels that are actually insane.
Yeah, it's thousands times over the safe limit.
You can. I remember when I went to India a few years back, and especially in the north, right? So in Delhi and in Punjab, you can literally smell and feel the pollution. And literally
really bad.
It was about 1-2 days before I started getting ill.
Really?
And even over there, there's a lot of health related problems related to their lungs and everything, just due to the pollution levels.
Delhi is really bad. It's the worst.
I mean, because even India as a whole is actually really bad.
India as a whole is really bad anyway, but when you look at Delhi and those cities, literally, it's so much. It looks like fog. You can't even tell it's pollution. It looks like fog, but when you look at it, you can't even see far as probably can't even see you at the heights.
Yeah. So the UK is going to host this COP26 summit. Like I said, it's going to be in Glasgow in November. And these talks, they've been built up. They've been hyped up as the last chance to keep climate breakdown at a bay. But the truth is, UK sort of representatives, they've come out recently, in the last few days, yesterday and today, and they've said, we're not going to meet our targets.
Yeah, we're not gonna. As I said to you, like, these targets that were promised in the Paris Agreement, nobody's anywhere near meeting them, right? And especially with the UK now pulling out the EU, that was one of the biggest advantages of the EU as well. Like the fact that they controlled a lot, like through the directives as to like what you can have, what you can consume in terms of like carbon emissions and all that. It was all set, like it was controlled. Now that the UK is on its own, who knows? We could have a government that's even worse than this government in a couple of years' time, and they completely disregard every advice that the scientists has given them.
When we talk, I just mentioned a climate breakdown. When I say climate breakdown, I mean, like the global surface temperature, when we reach 2 degrees Celsius, which is expected we will in the 21st century. 21st century.
Oh, yeah.
If we continue, right? The extremes will mean, that the tolerance thresholds will be met for agriculture and health, right? I don't know, you've seen Interstellar.
Yeah.
When like the Earth actually becomes
too
inhospitable,
Yeah.
It can't grow crops for you anymore, so you can't sustain life, we can't sustain food for us, right? That's where we're going. And when I say the 21st century, I mean, that's like
in a few years' time.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the things that actually contribute to that, man. There's so many things that contribute that. And I think let's talk about the ways in which we, on a human level, can try our best to prevent these things from happening.
Look, there are certain levels to this. Okay, you can, the problem is, you can point to the government and say it's their fault, right? Yeah. And I think that's a lot of the people do.
Yeah.
But there are levels to this. Like, it's also like looking at us and our carbon footprint as well. For example, like, what are we doing?
Catch less planes, walk, don't drive.
Exactly. Or like even cycle.
I feel like finding healthier alternatives. I feel like
food is a huge thing.
Diet is all important.
Yeah, I think there was a report out in The Guardian just a few days ago that said that the meat and poultry industry literally takes up like 60%.
Meat and dairy are the biggest.
Yeah, meat and dairy.
Yeah. Because of and plus like the meat bit is even more dangerous because like the gases, the stuff that cows release and stuff. So it's in fact even
the
worse.
biggest proportion was beef, so it's cows.
Yeah. I feel like people forget that these animals are factory farmed in order to
meet the demand.
Yeah, exactly. And like this takes up not only so much land, so it's like
and that's kind of like endemic through the whole world. Like even when you look at like the Amazon in Brazil, for example, so much of the rainforest is constantly getting cut down for farmland, for example. And that's not even just in Brazil, and like even other countries, for example, India. When you look at India, like how many when you go to Punjab, how many trees do you see? It's everywhere. It's just farmland. It's just everywhere you look, it's just farmland.
And like I think even David Attenborough had a few words to say about this on his most recent documentary.
Well, he always has more than a few words to say on them. Yeah.
No, and he was like, look, man, we really need to like look at the most sustainable options today. Otherwise, David Attenborough said that the world he loved exploring and the world he was able to show us won't be around no more. And this is, sorry to cut you off, but like animals are going extinct. Yeah, the glaciers are melting. I watched a documentary just two days ago about Mount Everest and how the people of Nepal play such a big part in the tourism aspect of Everest. And in the last 10 years, because of global warming, the ice has melted, and it's fucking up the Everest, and as a result of this, the
people are suffering as well.
Also, the economy of Nepal is also suffering because so much of it depends on travel and tourism. So I mean, for us over here,
so many people work as Sherpas, don't they as well?
Exactly, and the documentary was called Sherpa.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
What our point is, I feel like we're all very privileged to be in this room.
Definitely.
But like, let's take a look at the bigger picture.
Well, another report came out recently, and it said that these disasters are only going to get much worse.
Like,
and they impact people who don't have as much.
Did you see the flooding and stuff in countries like in places you would never expect? Like, for example, New York and Germany recently, so the floodings and stuff. It's huge. Like, you don't realize like how big it is until it actually happens to you. Somebody said that. You know what I mean?
Well, Will Smith, he lived in California. I remember during the pandemic, he storied the wildfires.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, the wildfires.
Yeah, he had to leave his house, and from a distance, he was saying, "Look, guys, we were this close."
Fuck,
right?
man.
His
It's
family had to
scary,
evacuate.
isn't it?
And you know, that's a big person. Another big person, Leonardo DiCaprio. He's big on his climate change.
He's a really big advocate for all this kind of
Leonardo
stuff.
DiCaprio is one of those wankers that'll go like, you know, to be honest, like, yeah, he's doing great, yeah, but like, he doesn't realize he's part of the problem. Like, he goes and picks up his fucking environmental awards, like in the private jet and stuff, so it defeats the object. You know, I think a lot of these people do it because, you know, it looks nice and it's like, you know, good for the PR.
Well, I think it does help, you know, having a million followers he's got. He's putting a positive message out there.
No,
It
he's
does
putting
help.
a positive messages, but like, you know, these are the same people that, in fact, you know, when you look at the carbon like emissions generally, okay, yeah, the people that are responsible like for like 80 or 90% are like the top one, like what the top like 1% of the richest people, because they can't fucking go to Birmingham to London without catching a
I mean,
private jet.
and that ties into the point me and Aman were just saying.
And
that
even like the companies, for example, like the top 100 companies in the world are responsible for like the most fucking carbon emissions in the world.
but like that's
It's like an elitist problem. That's what it is.
so what I was saying was like, I feel like us three were in this room and we're like so privileged to be here, right? And Aman drew upon the point that like the people that are less fortunate in other countries, they have to suffer huge consequences. So I think is like, you know, that even the people who have access to a laptop or Spotify that are able to listen to this podcast right now, just think that, you know,
We enlighten people, yeah.
what's one small change that you can do to think about, even if you're starting on if you're planning for a family, your kids, how are they gonna be affected by?
You know, that was another big thing I wanted to get onto, like, because there was a report recently saying like I think a quarter or like more than a third of people like literally are more nervous about having kids now because of the climate. Well, how would you guys feel?
Well, I'm
like,
not surprised, because the thing is, right,
Would you guys,
know,
like,
we
wanna
always
have
hear
kids?
these stats in the news, you know, we always see climate change in the news and we're like, oh, whatever, I'm going to be dead by the time these changes happen.
But you're not, man.
But the truth is, you know, what in the next 60 years, you know, if you live till 70, I don't know if you will, Ishan, but if you live till 82, you know, you could actually see the world be a completely different place.
You know, it scares me, man, and that's why I've always thought about this as well. Like, would you feel comfortable bringing like a human, like a child, into this world, considering like the way it's headed? Like, I'm not talking about politically or whatever. Fuck all that stuff, right? Like, you know, in terms of climate, right? Yeah, the country's getting warmer. Like, for example, it should be slightly colder than it is now already.
I'm backing Elon Musk to find us the next planet. That's what I'm thinking
Elon
of.
Musk, man. Honestly, that the people like Elon Musk are the people like Elon Musk are the problem, man. Like, honestly, like it people are saying, well, you know, you should put your plastics in a blue bin and all that stuff. That's
Well, you don't think there should be someone out there that should be trying to find another planet for us? Somebody shouldn't be out there trying to get us to Mars.
No, like, why do we need to go to a different planet? Why can't we live on this but be just more fucking responsible? You know, why?
I hear that.
You know what I mean?
I hear that.
Like,
Maybe you can be as responsible as you want, but, you know, maybe not in 100 years, but in 1,000 years, we need to move planet.
I feel like
no, if we need to.
that's a very optimistic statement. I feel like even for that to happen, humans need to fix up now. And the thing is, we're part of the problem because
we are part of the problem. But, you know, this is another thing I want to say right here. People are saying, like, even the blue bit, like, you know, if we put, like, people say, oh, you know what, actually recycle your plastics, right? Yeah. Majority of that plastic ends up in fucking landfills in other countries, for example, Turkey, right? Greenpeace did a huge, like, thing on it whereby they said, okay, well, Boris Johnson's saying that we're the biggest recyclers in the world. That's fucking bollocks, because you know the amount of tons of plastic every single day that is shipped to Turkey.
I'm guilty of it. You know, I do drink water from, you know, a lot of plastic water bottles, but
And to be honest,
I have tried to get glass water bottles, as you can see there. You know, so
but I think it's
we
not about-
all can do little things.
No,
is,
we can
is,
do
is,
little things,
you know, the
but
message.
it's like a tiny. We're just scratching the surface. What really needs to be done is we actually need to tax big companies, and we need to
But
reduce.
but you know, you said the top 1%, but there is a 99%. If 99% everyone does a small step,
Yeah.
it's not scratching the surface.
No, it's the richer countries that are the biggest emitters.
let's not
It's the richest countries. That are the biggest
Amrit,
emitters.
let's not like. I hear that and I understand that and I get you, but at the same time, listen, let's not play the blame game and say, yo, let's only tax them. I feel like everyone needs to do their part.
No, everyone needs to do their part. But I think people are.
There's no
honestly,
but. Everyone do your part.
No. Honestly,
The moment
I think
there's
the
a but-
narrative that we have on climate at the moment is focused a lot on like, put your fucking plastic in a blue bin, do this, do that. That's great. I think as the part that everybody needs to play is perhaps come off meat, right? Because a lot of people consume meat, and that's one of the biggest emitters, as we decided, right? Yeah, we were talking about. But a lot of it, the biggest emissions are coming from huge companies People that are fucking taking flights left, right, and center. Why do you need to take a flight to go fucking from like I don't know, like Birmingham to London or something? Like, you know, why are you having private jets and stuff? That again is like one of the biggest factors. Like flights, for example, is the biggest factor in like.
I mean, if I need to get to India, I'm probably gonna take a plane.
No, but you getting to India is one thing, but you going from here to Scotland, why do you need to take a fucking like flight, or why do you need to take a car? Why can't you just take the train or something? You know,
train releases emissions.
No, train releases emissions, but it takes more people from London to Glasgow in a lot less emissions than, for example.
Not necessarily. It could be an empty train.
No, but what I mean is, no, that's the point. Like, fill those fucking trains, right? Why are you using a car? Why are 100 people using 100 different vehicles to get to London to Glasgow when they could all go in one vehicle, right?
Personal preference. You pay for a car. It's a luxury, isn't it?
No, it's a luxury, but that's what I mean. We need to fucking redefine what luxury is, and we need to redefine all these things, what you want, because...
That being said, like, you know, come on, like, the electrical movement in vehicles is moving forward, you know, even...
You know what, again,
some
I think
companies...
that's just the bubble as well. Like, electric... People are saying, okay, electric cars. I think the problem with electric cars is where you get the electricity from as well, right? We're going to then be relying on a lot more on fossil fuels, like, or nuclear power. So it's like kind of like that bubble's going to burst in a few years. So obviously the UK is a new thing where like, what is it by 2030?
2030.
Yeah, that they're going to be only manufacturing electric cars. But what happens after that? Like when you have all electric cars, you need the power from somewhere.
Yeah, but the power is a lot more. It's conservative. It's not much more than a fridge is powered.
No, it's not more than a fridge is powered. But imagine how many cars there are. Like around the world and stuff, right? Yeah, where are you going to generate that electricity from? At the moment, the way we generate electricity is either from nuclear power, right, mostly, or from like fossil fuels. So
not solely. There are wind generated, or you know, there's natural.
No, I'm not saying solely.
Ways.
I said majority. Like, okay, yeah. So unless we move away from that, which I don't see happening anytime soon, like move away from nuclear power, move away from fossil fuel powers, because there's the lobbying of those kind of like groups is just too strong in the government to move away from that. Even now, we like.
Do you think the human race is going to bring this planet to an end?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Like sooner than it should.
100%.
Yeah. Do you think there's going to be changes with these, you know, committees? There's COP26. Do you think anything's going to happen?
No. Again, like
drastic,
you know.
So then, you know, if we as the normal person aren't expecting anything, why do we bother with all of this then?
Because it's on us to change it, because these governments.
But then you don't believe it, right? You think this is a waste.
No.
What are you actually doing to make the planet better?
That's a good question, right? When you look at it yourself, like, what are you doing to make it better? But what I'm trying to say is, and I guess I'm playing the blame game here as well. Like, I'm not as equal, like, you know, kind of like, you know, I'm not as doing the most.
But exactly. But do you know, like fast fashion is a big trend now.
Okay, look,
people go out there and buy clothes because that's on ASOS new thing. Oh, that's on Zara now. I need to get that. But the thing is, you can get eco-friendly materials. You can, you know, you can if there's a. You just said to me there's a stain on your top. There's a lot of people that will just chuck that away now. Yeah. But you could really spend time trying to clean that.
Yeah. Personally, like the changes that I've made in terms of what I can do, like I don't know if you guys want to speak about the changes you've made, is one, I've gone vegetarian, right? The only thing I'm trying to do is go vegan, but for me it's very hard at the moment because obviously I've grown up in a Punjabi household where dairy is kind of like the staple of everything that we have, like, you know, everything.
Not necessarily cheese. You made cheese a staple.
Not necessarily cheese, but you know what I mean, like dairy, like milk. Cool. Right. Yeah. And then like also, it's been about 2 years I've stopped buying new clothes. I normally get new things from charity, for example, to charity shop and stuff. And although it's more so enforced on me rather than by choice, I don't drive a car. I like cycle mostly anywhere. Like I either run to work or cycle to work, or I catch the tram or the train. So it's these little things, I think, if you bring in changes, and even my mum...
But you've done a lot of these for a long while. What have you enforced in the last year?
As in, like, my
to improve the planet?
My vegetarianism, I would say.
In the last year? You said that's been 2 years. In the last year?
In the last year, to be honest,
Listen, bro, he's trying, man.
Bro, you fucking drive everywhere.
I want you to hear.
Okay, look.
I want to sit here next week and I want you to tell me.
No, you want to talk about this.
You know what? The government this, government that. What are you doing?
Okay. Fuck the government. What are you doing, bruv? Look, we used to live next door to each other, right? My man used to fucking drive and I used to go on my bike. Remember that? We lived next door to each other, right? And our offices were literally like a minute apart, right? In the city centre. And this prick would fucking get out of his car.
Should I tell you why?
Right?
Because I had a driving licence.
No. And I would be there on the bike. Literally,
That's a fact.
No.
If you had a drive, you know, it's all right being on your pedestal, but if you had a driving license, you know, you talk about it's people that have the power.
No. He's such an arsehole. He would never give me a lift either. That was the worst thing about it.
Give you a lift.
Right.
The one time I want peace and quiet before I go in the office, and you want to be in the car with me. Do you know what? On that note, I think we've covered climate change enough. I think. Do you know what?
There's no.
Drop in the comments, right? I want to see in the comments what you two are going to do.
Nah, you know what?
What about you, bro?
You know what? I'll drop in the comments. I'll drop a comment. Keep an eye out for my comment, and you let me know as well what you're going to be doing.
100%.
Any final words from you?
I was gonna say, you know, let's everyone just be mindful of like how you impact the planet, and you know,
Dead that. Yeah, guys.
You're